Tusks up, Utah Mammoth fans. Welcome into another Utah Mammoth Daily. So this one's going to be all about Elias Pettersson. The more I think about a potential trade for him, the more excited I get, and I'm just going to be letting myself down when nothing happens. But that's not what we're here about. We're here about hope and projections and pleading with the Utah front office to do something. That's what we're here for. So that's what today's episode is going to be about. Time to play general manager, mock up 3 different trade packages that I think the Vancouver Canucks would be interested in as far as a trade is concerned. You'll notice that Nick Schmaltz is not included on any of these because I would assume on his no trade clause, he would definitely have Vancouver probably at the very top of, yeah, no. So that's why he's not in any of these packages. Everything else is able to be traded with limited to no restrictions on it. So that is today's episode. If it doesn't interest you, that's fair. I get it. But let's have some fun and go right into it. So the first package, as you see on your screen there, 2026 first rounder, unprotected. 2026 second rounder that came from Ottawa. 2026 second rounder that came from the Rangers. Barrett Hayton, expiring deal, no other reason why. And Daniil Boot. Yeah, that one kind of hurts to lose cheeks like that, but to get an upper echelon centerman who needs a change of scenery and who has the potential to be one of the best centermen in the league, you do move on from a lower floor like Daniil Boot is right now to that higher floor of Elias Pettersson. And the Mammoth are pretty stocked when it comes to wing talent in the pipeline. So you still keep Nick Schmaltz, obviously, because he would say no to a trade to Vancouver. And you get rid of Barrett Hayton, who's been a bust and frustrating. Yeah, he works hard. Like, I've never had a problem with Barrett Hayton's work ethic. Doesn't look like he takes nights off. It's just, there's just something missing there. And maybe he needs a change of scenery as well. Not only that, you get to shed the skin further from the Arizona Coyotes days and into the new era of the Mammoth. And you get Elias Pettersson, who is still a very, very good player, if not elite. And maybe with the change of scenery, new expectations, he's not supposed to be the guy anymore. There's other players on the team who can be the guy. Clayton Keller. I mean, if the Mammoth re-sign Nick Schmaltz. Logan Cooley, obviously. Dylan Gunther, J.J. Peterka. Like, there's a lot of guys. Even Lawson Krause is getting up there now. I mean, so there's other guys that he can both facilitate and compete with to be the face of the franchise. So I think this trade works out very well because it gives Vancouver a first-round pick next year, gives them a bunch of draft capital this coming year, actually. It gives them an expiring contracted Barrett Hayton. They could re-sign him for a depth centerman. He could be that third or fourth line guy. Utah just has enough of those guys, not to mention Caleb Desnoyers and Cole Baudouin coming up from the AHL and WHAHL and wherever else they might be, the ABCDEFGHL. So that is why I think this trade would work out. They get Daniil Boot, a very high upside, hardworking player right now. He just needs to figure out how to slot home goals, and that won't take very long. So I think this is the best offer that you could come up with for Vancouver. Maybe throw in another, like a third rounder this year, or a first rounder in like 2028 or something like that to sweeten the pot even further. But for all of these trades, on top of what I have listed, the Canucks would need to keep at least a portion of that salary, up to 25%, to make this all really work out. Utah does have the cap space to make a trade like this work without that, but that would be maxing the cap out, and I know that Utah doesn't want to do that heading into this offseason. So this is the first package. The next package I have mocked up here is more first-round pick heavy, and instead of Daniil Boot, we keep that young winger, and we move on from Cole Baudouin, and we also add in Barrett Hayton. Barrett Hayton's going to be in all of these because he is that expiring deal, and it kind of makes the books work out a little bit better. So 2 first-round picks, Cole Baudouin, who was a first-round pick in his own right, and Barrett Hayton for Elias Pettersson. But in this one, they would have to keep 25%, like that max number I have of the salary. And this would work out as well because you get more first-round picks for Vancouver to help facilitate this rebuild that they're doing. You get Cole Baudouin, who can be a very good frontline center. Like, we're talking top 6. So, not in the league, just on the team. So, those first 2 lines there. And Barrett Hayton, again, maybe he just needs a change of scenery, and he could be that third-line center or even maybe a second-line winger. If he gets just different coaching, different expectations as well. Not being that first round pick, top 10 pick that he was here. So that would be, I think, would be very tantalizing for Vancouver as well because you get those draft picks. And not only do you get 2 first rounders, if you want, you can then flip those first rounders for somebody else or for a different package. Maybe you package that together with like Connor Garland and you get something else. So there's a lot of moving pieces for this one that could work out really well for Vancouver should they accept this one. This one's not the strongest of packages to send over. This might just be like the conversation starter that you would have between Bill Armstrong and the Vancouver Canucks, just being like, hey, this is our first offer. What do you think? Where can we go from here? 2 firsts, Cole Baudouin, who was a first rounder himself, and Barrett Hayton. What do we got? What more do we need to make this done, or is this good enough? That sort of thing. So that's what I have for this second package. Kind of light in the return as far as, right now players, but I think it's a tantalizing enough deal to where it gets the conversation rolling. And lastly here, package number 3 is one that's tougher to swallow for Mammoth fans, but easier to sell if you are the Vancouver Canucks GM to ownership and the fan base. You get Caleb Desnoyers, who was that top 5 overall pick in this most recent draft. You get Barrett Hayton, again, expiring contract. Maybe something comes from him, who knows. A 2026 second rounder, this one would be Utah's in this scenario, and a 2026 third rounder, that would be Utah's as well. So you get immediate prospect help with Caleb Desnoyers, who has a very, very, very high ceiling of being a centerman in the NHL. You get Barrett Hayton, talked about him too much, and you get 2 picks in this draft that can help supplement your pipeline even further. And again, these picks could be bundled up to ship off to get something else, so maybe get cap relief for another team, get these packages to get a contract that those teams don't want anymore, and they send back a higher pick, something like that. So a lot of moving pieces in all of these deals. I think each one is good enough to get a conversation starter. That first one I had on screen, I think, would be the one that would get it across the finish line. You might need to throw in another pick, like a late-round pick, or a journeyman-type NHL-type player, like a Kyler Yamamoto or a Kevin Rooney or something like that, Scott Perunovich, to kind of get it across the finish line, both money-wise and filling out the NHL roster for Vancouver-wise. But these are the packages I have for Elias Pettersson. Hopefully the trade doesn't get done tonight before this comes up tomorrow. That would be pretty cool, though. Let me know what your trade packages for Elias Pettersson would be. What sort of deal you think would work for both teams. Remember, this is not NHL 26 here. This isn't supposed to be one-sided. Both sides need to come away feeling like they got something worth it. So let me know those packages in the comments. Hit that subscribe button. Tusks up, and I will see you guys tomorrow.